Yo, what's up everyone? Daniel Yuck here. Thank you all for tuning in today. I appreciate it. Today I want to go ahead and bring you all an in-depth review, and I want to dive right into this silicone hand right here that's peeking out right there by a company called Mummy Tattoo Supply. Just to reiterate, we're going to be reviewing the silicone hand right here from Mummy Tattoo Supply. Without further ado, let's just dive into this. So where I want to begin is I want to pull out the box and obviously show you all the item here, the product. I want to show you all the cosmetics. I want to show you all up close. I want to take a look at it. Before we actually apply a stencil, since I don't know what I want to do on the hand, I want to test it out real quick. I want to put on a little stencil right here on top of the hand, and I want to just kind of test out how it behaves and see if it is easy to wipe off. And I want to put some ink on there and see if it's easy to wipe the ink off. Just do a little bit of testing before we actually get to the hand part. But right here, this is the product. Let's go ahead and take it out the bag here. Now this thing definitely has some weight to it. It definitely has some weight. It definitely feels like, hello. It definitely feels like someone's hand. Hello, how are you? So as you see though, right here, it's a very cool silicone hand, I would say. I've never personally used these too much. This will be one of the first that I've ever held in my hand. And up close, as you see though, there is human texture. Like as you see, it does mimic actual human texture here, and that's on the palm as well. So if I zoom in here, you see there's actual textures in the silicone hand from the hand that it was made from. Like everything is there, as you see in the crevices. Let's go over here to this side. And the nails, the fingers right here. There's like the wrinkles of our fingers as well. So as you see, there's textures on here. So like I stated, this would be the next best thing to tattoo. Once you develop your skill sets on practice skin, this right here is where basically you're going to head. I would recommend to pick some of these up as well to practice on, to get used to, you know, holding a finger, tattooing a finger, instead of tattooing on a flat surface. So you would be able to tattoo on the hand as you would on a human. And it definitely does feel real. Like in terms, I mean, obviously the weight of the hand, it is a silicone material, but in terms of the textures, like it definitely does feel like skin. It definitely does look like skin, as you see. Like if I were off camera, it looks like someone's shaking my hand here. That's funny. Now as you see though, it's a very nice mock-up. It's a very nice mimic of an actual hand. For this demonstration, I am going to be using the Mummy tattoo machine as well to apply this tattoo. I don't know what tattoo I'm going to do. I don't know what direction I want to head into in terms of tattooing. I don't know basically how this specific silicone behaves and reacts. So I'm going to test that here, and there's going to be a few ways that I go about doing that. Now, one of the first tests that I'm going to do is I'm going to just simply grab one of my shop towels, and I'm going to dip my pinky into the ink cap of the Mummy ink right here, and I'm going to rub it on top right here. And what I'm doing is I'm basically going to see, I'm testing how the silicone cleans up, because there is texture here in the skin. I don't want ink staying within those textures and making the presentation non-presentable. So that's actually a really good sign. When the ink comes off like that, that's a great sign. And granted, this is more of a non-textured silicone. However, this is still the same material, so it should still behave the same way if I'm correct. So if I just kind of press the Vaseline into the skin and I press, as you see, it definitely does remove the ink. So that's good. So what this test tells me is that when I pull a line, should there be an excess amount of excess ink, it's going to wipe off. You know, just wipe it off accordingly with a little bit of Vaseline. That's great. That's one of the tests that I wanted to see if the ink came off or if it was going to smudge and stain. It did not stain, which is a very, very good thing. That's what I needed to do. So that is one of the tests that I needed to kind of like pass. I need the ink to be able to come off. So that was one of them. The next test would be I want to apply a stencil up here, and I want to see if well, not really. I don't think this test would apply for this specific silicone hand right here, I know that I'm only gonna get the stencil to stick a certain amount. So I'm just going to have to apply a good amount of pressure upon applying the stencil, so that way it gets into the crevices. So I don't think that applying a stencil to the top is going to be totally necessary. I think that applying the ink and seeing if it came off was the only test that I'm going to need to run for this specific silicone hand. I think from here on out, what I need to figure out is the tattoo and what I want to do. I don't know if I want to do like a simple flower here. I don't know if I want to do something like dramatic with like covering the whole hand. I don't know if I want to push myself that far. I'm not too certain on the specific tattoo, because we can always do this side as well and do a tattoo on this side of the hand. I mean, we can actually break this down into multiple videos. So for this specific video, as you can see, we got a little bit of ink right there. So this may be a good opportunity for us to see if the ink comes out from this area, from in the crevices. And as you see though, it does, it definitely does. So that's great to know. I got some ink into the crevices right here by accident, and I put some Vaseline in there, and I really pressed down, and then upon wiping with the napkin I pressed down as well, and it brings the ink right out. So this is going to be a lot of fun to tattoo on. However, I am just again figuring out how I want to do it. I guess simply because this is my first artificial hand that I'm going to tattoo. I'm trying to figure out again if I want to keep it simplistic, or I want to try and push myself to the limit and do something really crazy. Maybe like some gates right here with some stairs and some clouds. I don't know, that may be too small for this hand, and there is a lot of concave right here. So as you see right here, these little caves right here is what's really going to put us to the test upon tattooing and applying the stencil. And it is cool that we get to tattoo this side of the hand and we get to tattoo this side of the hand. For this video, we will go ahead and stick to one side. We will tattoo one side of the hand just to give us an idea of how this behaves, how it responds. I want to see if it accepts shading as well. So I'm interested in doing all of that. So allow me to find the idea, the stencil that I want to put on here. Allow me to come up with that. And upon figuring out the idea and stencil, I will come back and I will apply it with you all so we can proceed to tattoo this hand right here. Now the design that I chose is a rather difficult one. As you can see, it's a detailed one. So I'm going to try and go for it in the center of the hand right there. And I'm going to focus on the gates and the stairs we can kind of implement into the tattoo as well. But I felt this would be a cool tattoo to try. For this, I'm going to use stencil stuff just because this silicone hand is has a lot of pores. So I'm going to apply a very thick coat, and then I'm going to pat the excess off, so that way I'm stuck with a super light outline of the stencil. And the only thing that worries me is this crevice right here, so I have to make sure that I apply pressure into that crevice and I don't smear or move the stencil around. So this is going to be tricky. We're going to see if we can do it here on camera. I'm just going to remove some excess, making sure that I don't remove too much. And I can tell like there's a lot of over here. You can see like the pulls of it really. Remove the excess over here. So we have a little bit remaining. Now I'm going to try my best to apply it. Dry off my hands a little bit more. So I'm gonna line it up right around there. I don't want to remove the stencil just yet, as I kind of want to roll my hand, and hopefully we can get a nice stick here. And as you can see, that's actually not that bad. That's totally workable. It's lined nice. As you can see, some of the stairs come onto the hands right here a little bit as well. So it'd be cool because we can shade right here onto this finger, and these fingers we get a little bit of stair shading. And as you can see, it's super light, but it's there. It's definitely apparent, like we can see it. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this dry for 24 hours. As you can see, very nice, very easy. This is super light. That's what I wanted though. and we're going to begin shading or finishing this tattoo. We're going to begin applying it, and I will bring you all up close and show you all what it's like. So let's just wait that time frame, and we will be back to proceed accordingly. So we are about 24 hours later, give or take, that we've been letting the stencil dry here. I'm going to do some test spots to see if it comes off with these little lines down here, just to see how well it's stuck. For this tattoo, I'm going to be using a quill bug pin 3-round liner for the entire tattoo, simply because I want to be able to input the ink precisely. I am going to be using the Mummy Tattoo rotary tattoo machine. I've also done a full in-depth review on this, so be sure to check that out as well. I've done a full review on the quill needles as well. So with that being said, I'm going to proceed. I will bring you all up close so you can see what the hand looks like. So I'm bringing you all up close so we can get a good idea on how this silicone hand performs, how it accepts ink. Again, just to reiterate, we're going to be using the Mummy rotary tattoo machine running at 6 volts with the bug pin 3-round liner from Quill. I am also going to be using the Mummy tattoo ink for this tattoo right here. And I'm going to start with a wipe here. So let me turn off the machine real quick and let's do a wipe test. I'm going to see how or if the stencil comes off, and it doesn't look as though it's coming off this little line right here. So I'm going to put a little bit more just to confirm in a more of a wide area. So that's good. So the stencil is not going to come off throughout the tattoo. So if I'm over here wiping, I'm not going to lose the stencil, which is something that I was worried about. So as you see, I was wiping and it just does not come off. Let's do it one last time. And I'm scratching as well, like I'm really working it in there, and as you see, it does not come off, so that's good. That's a good sign. From here on out, it's just about taking my time and really just inputting the ink and just taking my time with it and doing this correctly. So let's begin. I'm going to be working with little amounts of ink at a time here. And this is going to be straight black as well. We didn't dilute it or make a gray wash. I'm going in with straight black ink. Right here, we'll know after this if I want to make a gray wash, if I'm going to need to, or how we're going to approach that. So as you see, take a nice thin layer right there. Easy to clean up as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a wipe though and put it over the area that I'm not tattooing, as I would on a real tattoo. Now I think it's all about, I can shed some light on how I would tattoo the hand here as well, but again, I'll make another video focus on that. But for me, I think a lot of the tattooing is about getting comfortable before you start putting the ink in. Don't put the ink in uncomfortable positions. That's probably some of the best advice I can pass down, should I pass down any advice or give any advice for this. Light amounts of, small amounts of, as you see, Vaseline there. And I think that we may be able to stick with the straight black for this silicone as well. Now for this specific tattoo, I'm going to want all of my shading, my darker tones at the top. So that's how I'm going to approach it. All of the darker areas on the top are going to have a bit more shading. And as you see, I'm barely filling up my needle tip with not much ink at all. So that way I can precisely put the ink in there while keeping it as clean as I possibly can keep my canvas. So as you see though, the skin does take a nice shade there. It does have a texture to it, so it does make shading, smooth shading a bit tricky. However, this is going to definitely be fun. I will go ahead and bring you all to a different angle here. If this one is not working out, we will switch angles throughout the video. But overall, right now, the skin, it definitely does feel great. Like the silicone hand, it feels great. It does feel like I'm tattooing a real hand, more or less. Granted, there's no human arm going that way, but in terms of like how it accepts ink and how it performs. I think that it definitely does great. I think that it's definitely doing its job right now. We will know throughout this tattoo here later on as well. I'm excited to see what the final result looks like. So I'm just going to take my time though. From here on out, it's literally just about applying the tattoo with the best, to the best of my ability, essentially. That's really what it comes down to. So I'm setting the foundation here, and then I go back and I just kind of fade it out like so. And as you see though, the excess ink comes off really easy. Like, it's not hard to come out. A little bit of the ink stays into the inside of the textures. However, that's nothing that a little bit more pressure from the napkin can't fix. So once I find a comfortable position, I can move from there. It's really just about finding that comfortable position to be able to apply the lines correctly. I try to make it as systematically easy as possible, and granted, that's not easy. However, that's my approach. I try to keep it very simple, very practical, very straightforward, each and every tattoo. And this tattoo is going to be just pretty much stippling the entire way. There's not going to be any lines or very small lines that are going to be worked out with shading. So if you don't clean it right though, you definitely won't get a good representation of what you're doing. So I got to make sure that I clean it right after I input some ink. And for these stairs, I'm not going to connect them all the way. We're just gonna kind of input them in there for right now, and we'll get to where we're going as we work the tattoo out. And that's what it really comes down to, is for me, is just getting comfortable, making sure that I am comfortable when tattooing the hand. There's a little bit of saturation there from the pores. I'm trying to get rid of that with the Vaseline. Okay, cool. So I just continue accordingly. Now, it does shade nice, so again, it is just going to be a matter of taking my time and applying the tattoo to the best of my ability here. That's what it's ultimately going to come down to. Along the way though, as you see, it is getting messy on the other fingers, but it's super easy to clean up, so it's not frustrating to work with this specific silicone hand right here. So I'm going to proceed accordingly. I will shortly bring you up to a time-lapse mode so we can switch over to a time-lapse video here, and then should I feel the need to bring you back and touch base on something, I'll do that. So as you see, I'm just going to apply the ink, work my way through, and then proceed accordingly throughout the entire tattoo. That's literally going to be the process that you see me doing right here. But this this hand, the silicone hand, it does accept ink well, and it does accept shading well. It can definitely be used to practice shading. If you're going to practice bold lines, that's cool as well. The silicone has a little bit of resistance. It's not like super soft. Even though the hand may feel that way, it's not like super soft. There's not much resistance. But it does have resistance, so it's a nice blend. It does feel like a great hand to practice on, a great silicone hand. Now I'm going to proceed. I'm curious to do this little ray right here, so we're going to check that out. So basically how I'm going to approach it is I essentially, again, lay down the foundation. So I know that that's one part of the ray right there. It's hard because of the knuckle here. And the camera is literally right in front of me, so it's difficult to get in this area. So we have that down. Once I lay out a nice, like black line there, I'm gonna go back. I'm going to simply stipple and start shading over. And I know that here is some more stairs, so I'm not going to touch that area. I'm not gonna go beyond that. So it's very nice. You just have to really work the shading up into it however you see fit. That's really the idea, is just really taking the time to saturate through the pores and everything here. I can't see accurately. Over the knuckle here is a tough part to get like a smooth stipple line. Overall though, it's definitely I can see this definitely a great investment for progression. So let's say you get to the point where you're super comfortable on fake skin and you can pull your lines, you saturate, you can pack, everything that you need to do. I would definitely recommend investing into some of these hands here. As you see, it's definitely a process to get the ink in there. So I'm going to continue this here. I'm going to get this camera out of my way so that way I have more room, because this is literally like right here next to me. I'm going to bring it back to the top view. We will continue via real time here for a little bit, and then we're going to switch over to a time lapse. But I need a little bit more room here to effectively tattoo this, so allow me to do so. So we are at the top now. I'm going to proceed and tattoo here accordingly. Now what I'm doing is I'm just going back here and evening out this tone right here, so that way it has a nice smooth shade. Now there is a lot of pores right here, so I'm not able to stretch out the pores as I would on human skin. So these little variables is what makes it challenging. Again, it's not necessarily realistic, because even if like these pores were on human skin, we'd be able to stretch. On here, there's absolutely no stretch at all. So that's just something that, you know, is a part of a silicone hand. It's just what it is. However, as you see though, I can still get nice smooth shading should I take my time and do so. And I'm just going to do that basically with the entire tattoo. I'm really just going to take my time and not rush the process at all. So that way I can get nice smooth shading like so, as you see. Each and every line that I do, or every dot, I'm essentially using the stipple approach, but since it's in minor increments, it doesn't look that way. Go ahead and put this back up here. I do like the silicone skin though, or I'm sorry, I do like the silicone hand. It's great. This is again from Mummy Tattoo Supply. I will leave links in the description below for you, so you can check it out on your end. However, this little hand is pretty cool. It's definitely a fun challenge here to tattoo this. I really feel it's all about taking your time, as it would be on a real tattoo. Like, just if you don't rush it, you just pull every little dot, every little stipple line as you're pulling them. You just take your time pulling them, you'll be good. Making sure that this area is saturated. I'm going to extend this ray out on the finger, as you see. And I'm just brushing the very tip of the hand, as you see. Kind of letting the needle do all the work for me. And again, there's just non-practical variables that we have to deal with upon dealing with silicone. For example, when I say that, what I mean is like the non-stretching of the skin. Since we can stretch the skin, you know, these are just little things that we have to deal with. These are just necessary investments to make, to practice, because you're still learning the motions on how to deal with the hand. You know, you're getting an idea of what it can be like. So yeah, that's why I feel it's important trying to saturate that pore area. It's a very nice saturated ray there. And I'm just going to continue, and as you see, like right here with these lines going across, same thing, just continue accordingly. What I see is what I'm inputting. I'm not making any of the stencil up, and should I not be too sure what a part is, I have the stencil right here next to me to go back and be able to reference that. And I'm still using small amounts of ink, and even then I kind of over scoop sometimes. I'm using small concentrated amounts of ink, or controlled amounts of ink, so that way I can precisely put the ink where I need to without making too much of a mess. As you see, I just need to put small increments of ink in at a time in order to effectively make this tattoo look presentable. And that's why I chose to go with a bug pen as well, so that way I can put the ink in there precisely. There's no like secret or anything. It's just pretty straightforward, common sense stuff, I feel. And again, I'm applying a little pressure. Pores make it a little bit tricky to shade. However, I like these challenges. These are good challenges, and if you do one and yours doesn't come out great, don't get discouraged. They're great investments. Just, you know, try and learn something from it. Instead of focusing on the bad, take something that you can use in the future. And, you know, like, what could you have done different? Should you have done a different style tattoo? Was a tattoo out of your capabilities? Now, for this right here, I never really do these style of tattoos. So I'm kind of nervous, and I'm just going to be completely honest about this tattoo. I don't know how it's going to come out, but I keep telling myself if I keep this practical, logical approach, I should be fine, because I know what I need to do. I know how to apply this tattoo. I just never done it before. So let alone on camera here with you all. So as you see, all the lines that I already know what they are, I practically go in there and start lining them out, filling them out. As you see, just a small little line, and then just shade accordingly until I get my desired effect. Very practical approach. So that's the idea. That's how I'm going to approach this entire tattoo, just with a sense of practicality, making sure that I do my best to apply each and every line here until I complete the tattoo. Very straight forward, simple, practical approach. What I'm doing is I'm essentially laying down the lines for the stairs here, as you see. Very simple, very cool stuff, very straightforward. So I'm going to proceed, as you see right here. I'm just going to work my way throughout this entire tattoo. We're going to switch via time lapse. Should I feel the need to touch base on anything, we'll go ahead and come back and touch base on that. Now I wanted to come back to a real-time video and show you all up close here to see if I can get it up close and show you all the, I guess I would call it, acceptance of the silicone skin for the ink. Now I'm just stipple shading and I'm really taking my time with where I apply it. I'm treating this a silicone hand as if it was a real person. And what I'm doing is I'm just approaching the stippling here. Now it is tricky because there's so much like textures and little cavings on the little textures on the hand here, so it is difficult. However, this silicone hand, it does accept ink well. It does shade nicely, as well as you can see, granted if you're applying it with the correct application. But I just wanted to again kind of switch out of a time lapse for a little bit and show you all some of the up close action here. This silicone hand has been a lot of fun to tattoo. I would definitely recommend this specific silicone hand to anyone who is looking to tattoo it. Let's say if you've gotten comfortable on fake skin and you're ready to kind of expand your skill sets, I would definitely recommend and investing into a couple of these hands here. I will leave links in the description below for you. And just to confirm, I also am using the Mummy tattoo machine as well. But as you can see though, it is accepting the shading very smooth, very nice. I don't have any complaints. It's definitely a task though. It's definitely a challenge to apply the tattoo on here. So I definitely feel that, again, if you are looking to develop your skill sets, this is definitely something that would help you get better exponentially. And like, you can take your time with it. There's no rush. You can, you know, learn to develop patience within your workflow. You can learn how to tattoo on different concaves of the actual human flow, like of the human form. So I'm definitely loving this skin right now. It's an amazing silicone hand right here. It's very satisfying too to tattoo this. You can also tell when you blow it out, so that's also awesome as well. You can notice the blowouts. It doesn't necessarily like bruise, like there's no fluids in the silicone to carry the ink. However, when you go too deep, you can definitely tell it does still blow out. So I figured I'd give you another angle while we're here, and then we can go ahead and switch back to a time-lapse mode. I'm gonna do as best as I can, as the camera is literally right in front of me. And now this approach that I'm using is the exact same that I would be using on human skin. The approach does not change. And as you see right here, that we're coming up to a concave part. So it's these little obstacles that are really giving you the most bang for your buck. These are the little things that are going to make you better, is knowing how to tattoo over that sort of stuff, you know, knowing how to deal with it and how to proceed effectively. What I love about this though is that I genuinely get to practice shading. I get to practice the fundamentals of shading, like cross hatching, stippling over concaves, and the natural human form. So again, these silicone hands could be super useful, and again, especially if you're trying to develop your skill set. I know that I've said that here already, but I just want to confirm and reiterate that I definitely feel like I'm tattooing a real hand. Granted, it doesn't feel real, but the motions that I'm making, the workflow, and the application definitely does feel real. because a blowout will be apparent. You'll notice it in the work. And again, I want to present this when I'm done. Like I want to have it in a tattoo shop or have it as a part of my portfolio. And I can't do that if I'm over here blowing this hand out. I can't present it if it's not presentable work. So what I do is the same approach. I lay down the foundation in which I want the shading to flow, and then from there I just shape it up, tune it up, tone it up. I'm really loving the way that this is coming out. This tattoo is coming out great. I'll go ahead and when we're done, show you the tattoo in its entirety. But for now, I feel like bringing you up close and letting you see the behavior of the skin and how it accepts the ink is beneficial for you all at home that are looking into these silicone hands. And nothing changes. I am just using the tip of my needle, kind of like a brush, just applying dot by dot by dot and tuning up where I need to tune up. My current thought process is, and it's been this entire tattoo, is to take my time, one section at a time, and then kind of just work my way and build my way until the tattoo is done. Even like 4 or 5 months ago, a tattoo like this, especially on a hand, I would have overthought this. I would have not been getting the results that I'm getting right now had I not practiced my fundamentals, like just keeping it practical, not winging it, knowing how to apply the tattoo. So if I didn't have the, I guess, capability to apply this tattoo, I would never have took it on. I would have never applied it to the silicone skin or to the silicone hand here. But now, again, I'm just using my thought process that I share with you all, just to keep it practical, keep it logical, why I'm doing this, why I'm doing that. So I'm going to switch back to the time-lapse mode now, so that way I can get a bit more room here. So I'm going to take you back up to the top view. So the tattoo is now completed, as you can see, and it came out great. Let me go ahead and bring it up close and show you all what the tattoo looks like. Overall, I love the way that this came out. I love the design, the placement. Everything about this tattoo is awesome. This mummy silicone hand right here is definitely going to get a thumbs up and 5 stars from me. I do feel like I developed into a better direction over where I was prior to tattooing this right here. And this is the first style. This is the first time that I do a tattoo of this style. Typically my tattoos are real heavy line based tattoos, when this one was more reliant on shading, as you can see. But I'm very happy with the results. I'm very happy with the way that this mummy silicone hand performs. It is great. I can tell when we go too deep. You can tell when you get blowouts. You can tell when you're going too light. It definitely challenges you. So when you're tattooing over like the areas where the skin creases, the concave of the hand as well. So it's definitely an obstacle. This is definitely again a thumbs up and a 5 stars from me. I can see this helping people develop their skill sets tremendously. So should you invest into these, I can definitely see it benefiting you long term. I'm gonna go ahead and leave the links in the description below so you can pick these up on your end. Check them out should you choose to do so. One more time, let me go ahead and show you the tattoo right here. What I do love about this silicone hand right here is that you can tell when you're going too deep. So when you're going too deep, you can tell because it looks somewhat like a bruise. It doesn't necessarily bleed like a blowout because there's no blood flowing. However, you can definitely tell when you go too deep. The mummy silicone hand definitely does accept shading very well. And this is mummy ink as well, just straight black. And I use the mummy rotary tattoo machine with a quill bug pin 3-round liner for this entire tattoo. And that was the setup, that was the needle configuration that I used. And once again, I'm very happy with the results. I'm very happy with this mummy silicone hand. I can definitely see myself using these right here to develop and get super comfortable, as I did with the fake skin on human limbs. I think it'd be cool if I can get my hands on some like full sleeves, and I've seen some silicone feet as well and different parts of the body. Overall though, the silicone hand from Mummy Tattoo Supply is going to get a thumbs up from me. The tattoo machine as well gets a thumbs up from me. This is going to be a good product to help you develop and help you learn. It is very responsive, although it isn't exactly like human skin. Nothing is like human skin. This will definitely teach you the fundamentals of shading. It'll definitely teach you the fundamentals of how to handle concave and how to tattoo. It does give you challenges and obstacles such as tattooing within the finger creases right here where the skin creases. So there is going to be tremendous development upon investing into these silicone hands. So I highly recommend this silicone hand right here. It is great. I can definitely see myself using these more. Should you have any questions at all about anything throughout this video, please feel free to drop it in the comments below, and I'm going to do my best to assist you in the best possible direction. If you're not, be sure to give me a follow on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, as I would genuinely appreciate your support. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell for me, as I will be bringing more videos like this. Thank you for tuning in yet again. You have a great day.